From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It is time for the NFL Bet Exchange, and I'm your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And, right next to me, the man himself, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling the same, Mr. Dawson.
Another week. What are we at? Week 11? Week 11, a nice week last week. I think that gets us up to about 23 games over 500, not counting the outright winners. I think it's a pretty decent board this week. A few intriguing matchups starting tonight, and I'll get into that one about tonight.
Right, and Jeff finished up 8-5, and me, as usual, finished up 5-8 this week. I'm more of an afternoon guy than a morning guy this year. So let's go ahead and jump into our first game. It's going to be the Thursday night football game as well, too, and that's going to be between the Falcons and the Patriots. And this game is going to be in Hotlanta tonight as well, too. So pretty much this is what the numbers that they're giving us, and pretty much you guys have to understand, I took this off of action today. So this is the highest that you could get the Falcons at is at plus 250, and the lowest you can get the Pats at is minus 275 today. But you guys have to understand the lines are going to go, move around like the stock exchange. But what I have in my notes today for this game is this. The Pats coming to this game 0-1 straight up, but 1-0 against the spread in primetime games. And we all know that was the Brady reunion. And then they're 4-0 straight up on the road, though. That's the most alarming stat that I have here. Then they've covered 3 out of 4 on the road as well, too. And then they're 2-2 when it comes to the over and under, meaning that they split that in their 4 contests. And also, they're 1-2 straight up versus the NFC South. And then they're 2-1 against the spread versus the NFC South. And then they're 1-2 when it comes to the over and under versus the NFC South this year. Now, the Falcons coming to this game, the Falcons are 1-3 straight up at home, and they're 2-2. And this is 1-3 and against the spread at home as well, too, Jeff. They're 2-2 over and under at home as well. And then they're 2-0 against the spread and straight up versus the AFC East. And both games against the East have went over as well, too. So the Falcons come in here with a good idea of how to combat these teams. And I think that pretty much today I can rock with the Falcons because they just got smoked by 40 points. And it seems like every team that has got their butt handed to them this year, Jeff, they've came back with like a house on fire. So I'm going to take that plus 7.5. And this could quite possibly be an upset tonight as well, too. What are your thoughts?
I could talk about this game for the whole show, okay? Next, including this week, would you have ever thought with the Patriots start, they got Atlanta this week, 10 days off, Tennessee coming to town in 10 days, and then they're at Buffalo. So they could be playing for the AFC East first place in 3 weeks, okay? Take a look at last week. Dallas was 8-point favorites at home against Atlanta. The Patriots are 7-point favorites on the road at Atlanta. Vegas is like, and the whole world is on like, this is the Patriots bandwagon. We've seen this a million times, that they get hot right around this time. They're on fire. Mac, you got for Atlanta, no Ridley, probably no Patterson. Belichick takes out your best player. I would assume Pitts doesn't have a big day, but I can't follow that train. As much as I think Vegas is telling me 27-20. That's what they're telling me. I am seeing some buyback right now in Atlanta. I like where your eyes are. I like where your head is. We bought the hook. We got the Falcons plus 7.5. Let's go.
And I would think that it's the weekly oversell as well, too. And we know Thursday night football is a very good day for these books to oversell a favorite. So let's move on to our next game. And our next game is going to be a doozy. This one is going to be between two teams that are historically been some great defensive teams, and this is between the Ravens and the Bears. But this game right here, we have ourselves two teams going in two different directions. You got a Ravens team that's 6-3, and you got a Bears team that's 3-6. Ravens are coming off a pretty bad upset. You know, a lot of people didn't see that coming, but as we always say, any given Sunday, any given game, this is professional sports. Well, they were able to limit Lamar for the first time in a long time. You know, the Dolphins, who had given up 40 points in each of their last few contests with the Ravens. Ravens go into this game, though, with 2-2 straight up on the road. They've actually are 1-3 against the spread on the road as well, too. And then when it comes to the over-under, they went under in 3 out of 4 of those games. But this is a good note for them. They're 2-0 straight up versus the NFC North. But this is the other note. They're 0-2 against the spread versus the NFC North this year. And then they're 1-1 when it comes to the over and under versus the NFC North. Now the Bears come into this game and they are a little they're decent at home. They're 500. They're 2-2 against the spread and straight up. And then when it comes to the over under, they also have only went over in one of the 4 games at home. So most of those games have been going under. They're 2-2 straight up versus the NFC, but 1-2 versus the AFC North. They're 3-1 against the spread versus the AFC, but 2-1 versus the AFC North. And then when it comes down to the over/under, they once again 3 out of 4 games have went under. So when I look at this game, I say to myself that this one right here is a game that they're gonna really want you to probably hop on the Bears in this spot, and they're gonna kind of give you the idea that the Ravens could probably be messed with. But I think that the Ravens bounce back big because they take this game very seriously. They take every game seriously, but I'm just saying, after they had their last loss, they bounced back and they bounced back very well. So that's where I'm rocking with, and that's what I'm rolling with. And let's see how it shakes out. I'm taking the Ravens with the 4.5 on the road.
I like the bounce back. They've had 10 days to rest, but you got a Bears team coming off a bye. It looks like Justin Fields is finally getting comfortable. Montgomery will be back as well. I think it's a tricky spot here. I like the points. We bought the hook here. We bought the Bears plus the 5. If I'm the Ravens, I'd be on upset alert here. Hearing all week Lamar's sick, I assume he'll be playing. But I like the Bears spot here. I think they're going to be able to run the ball, maybe play a little keep away. It all comes down to their defense, their secondary. Do they keep Lamar in his lanes? What do we have for an under-over, Pops? We got it at 45. So, Vegas is telling me right now around 24-20, somewhere in that area. So I like the Bears plus the 5 minus. We bought the hook, Pops.
And I'm going to be bold. I'm going to give you guys a final score for this game. I'm going to say that this game finishes up, say, like 13-10. Maybe like 10-7. This is going to be a really, really good. This is going to be a really good game defensively, in my opinion. Both of these teams have went under a lot this year, but you can buck the trend when that happens as well too. Don't just jump on it because they keep going over. A lot of times, this might be going under. This could be the spot to go over, but I don't expect this game to go over. Even though the Ravens do have a shaky defense, it's okay. I know that they're going to be good enough against the Bears. So we'll see how it goes, see how it checks out. But I do expect a low-scoring, black and blue type of game. All right, we have the Titans and the Texans. The Texans are absolutely dreadful this year, Jeff. I just really can't do anything with this team, to be honest with you. And I'm not scared to say I don't want them this week at all. Get them away from me. You know what I mean? And pretty much actually we're actually a little ahead of schedule. Sorry about that, but we'll just jump into this game anyway because it's right here. So pretty much we got the Texans and Titans. This one is a fun little game that we can put together, but I think though at the end of the day this is an easy call for me, Jeff. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take the Titans in this spot. I think the Titans is not going to be tough to beat the Titans here. I think that, I know the Texans are coming off of a bye and all that good stuff, but you know what? they just burned up so much money, and this team is the first team I've ever seen. Like literally every single game you've been in this year, you've been a double-digit dog. So literally, you're getting no respect with the lines makers. No, none of that. Even the 0-16 Browns didn't even have this many double-digit spreads during that season. So I think the Titans absolutely clean their clock. I'm taking the Titans to win this game by 2 touchdowns or better. They're going to be at home as well too. I think that this is a good game for them to go ahead and breathe a little easier and work some things out that they've been trying to work out all season as well too. What are your thoughts on this one?
The Titans are on a magical run, even without Henry. But if you look back at their games, they've been dogs on 85-90% of their games. There 2 times they were favorites. I think they lost both times. Actually, they were favorites opening day against Arizona, lost there. And then they 2 missed extra points and a failed 2-point conversion. They got by the Saints. For no rhyme or reason, we bought the hook. We're taking the Texans plus the 10.5. We're hoping Tyrod Taylor can keep the game flow. Don't go there expecting a shootout. You're not going to outscore Tennessee. Julio now on the IR, so they're going to bring in Marcus Johnson, who had a good week last week, and Whiteside. Established the run. Could be the revenge game for Deontay Foreman, which would be kind of comical for the Titans. But we're taking the points. We got an under-over on this game of, where was it? Titans. 44.5, 45. If I can get the Texans to 17, I think you're going to have the Titans in that 27-24 range. So as long as the Texans can get to 17, I think we're okay here, Pops.
All right. So we move on to the Eagles and the Saints. And in this one, the Eagles and the Saints, this one, you have a Saints team coming in here 5-4. The Eagles are 4-6 coming in. The Eagles looked really good last week, to be honest with you as well, too. The Cowboys better look over their shoulder and make sure that they're not slipping in the second half of the season, because the Eagles look like they're about to be a second half of the season type of situation. So when I look at my notes, you got a Saints team that's 5-4 against the spread on the season. They've went under in 5 out of their 9 games. Very kind of unfamiliar of the Saints as well too. That's how you know that there's no Drew Brees here, and we're in a new era of the Saints as well too. And then on the road, they've actually won 3 out of 5 of their road games this year. They're 3-2 in that scenario. Then they're also against the spread. They've actually covered 4 out of 5 of their games on the road as well too. And then when it comes to the over and under, they went under in 3 out of 5 of those games. Now they're 4-3 straight up versus the NFC, 1-1 versus the NFC East, 3-4 against the spread, 1-1 versus the NFC East. And when it comes down to the over under, they went over in 4 of their 7 games against the NFC, and they're 2-0 versus the NFC East in that same scenario. So the Saints are coming. They have been able to score points on teams in this division, and they've been able to do decent enough against the NFC. I won't say that they're doing great against the NFC, but they've done well enough. And this is a game for them that they really want to bounce back in. So we'll see how it goes. And I think a lot of people have to stop doubting Trevor Siemian. Trevor Siemian's a very smart quarterback. He's not a quarterback that's going to be able to push the line or anything, but he's smart enough to manage the game and get you a victory. So that's why I'm not too worried about the Saints quarterback situation at this point. And I feel like, they did the right thing not chasing Cam Newton as well too. They had to keep they kept who was in their quarterback room. That's who they're comfortable with. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. But the Eagles 5-5 against the spread this year. They've went over in 6 of their 10 games this year. But the one thing about the Eagles that a lot of people have to understand, they haven't won a home game all season. They're bad. They're terrible at home. 0-4 at home, 1-3 against the spread at home, and they've went over under. They split it. It's 2-2. And then when it comes to the straight up, they're 3-3 versus the NFC, 2-1 versus the NFC South. That's a good stat. 4-2 against the spread, 3-0 versus the NFC South when it comes down to the spread as well too. And then when it comes down to the over under, they're 2-4. So they've went under 4 out of their 6 games, but all 3 of their games have went under with the NFC South. So the Eagles are actually in a position where you say to yourself, when you look at all the notes, hey, I want to take the Eagles. But I think in the bounce back situation and the bounce back accord of this thing, when I see a team hasn't won a game at home yet, I question that, Jeff. And that's why I had to go ahead and take the Saints in this spot. And I ain't scared to take the Saints in this spot either. Even though I know I'm getting the plus money, I'm getting the minus 125 on the Saints here. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. Hopefully, we can go ahead and get ourselves a nice little victory here in this spot.
Kind of riding the wave, what you said a few minutes ago. The Eagles look like they're finally putting something together here. This game is going to be won or lost in the turnover battle. Is Jalen Hurts? I hate when he thinks run first. He doesn't like to stay in that pocket. I think he's got something starting to come together finally with Devontae Smith. Potentially Miles Sanders coming back this week. If you played this game a month ago, I think the Saints would have been about 6-point favorites. I'm going to ride the wave here. I got an under-over right now of 43. I'm going to say a late Philly field goal, 23-20. So we took the Eagles plus the 115 in the money line pops.
All right. So that's where Jeff is going with the plus 115 today on that. And so pretty much with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we will have some more early games for you guys as well, too. So you guys stay tuned to the NFL Bet Exchange.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back, and let's go ahead and jump into our next game. That's going to be a fun one. It's an OG game, the Jets and the Dolphins, and the Jets and Dolphins coming to this one. Both teams are kind of, going through the motions a little bit, but they've been playing better football over the last few weeks as well, too. The Dolphins been able to get 2 wins in a row, and the Jets were able to come back from a 54-13 beatdown and get one of the bigger upsets of the season as well, too. So, the Jets, could be in some pretty good graces as well, too, moving forward. But we'll have to see how it goes, though, for the rest of the year. But in my notes that I have today, I have it to where the Dolphins are 3-7 against the spread, so exactly identical to their record. Then they've also went under in 7 out of 10 of their games. This is their first game as a favorite this season as well, too, Jeff. Even though they were a slight favorite to open up against the Patriots, when I looked at it again, they actually went down and they actually wound up being this is the first game that they were a favorite. That one game was pretty much a pick 'em. So I'm going to consider this their first game as a solid favorite. You know what I mean? And they are not a good road team. They've actually have dropped 4 out of 5 against the spread and straight up on the road this season. And also they've been under in 3 out of their 5 games as well, too. So we do have the 1 and 2 against the spread and straight up in the East. the AFC East, and then you also have the Dolphins going under in all of their division games this year as well too. Now against the AFC, they've went ahead and they are 3-5 against the spread and straight up. And over under, they're actually have went under in 6 out of the 8 games that they played against their conference foes. But this is a good thing, as I mentioned before. The Dolphins have won their last 2 games in a row, and they've been quality wins as well too. Well, the Texans wasn't that much quality of a win, and that was more beating the JV. But you know what I mean, though, brother. You know what I mean. But all in all, Mr. Dawson, you know where I'm going with this one this week, though. Let me go ahead and get into the Jets, and then I'm going to let you know where I'm going with this one. The Jets, 2-7 against the spread, 6-3-1 when it comes to over and unders this year as well too. I'm just going to say 6-3, and because they haven't played 10 games, it's just 6-3. Sorry about that. So they're 6-3 when it comes to over and under games this year as well too. So that means it's pretty crazy. Jets games go over this year, unlike last year. But that's not because they're winning the game. That's because they're giving up a lot of points. They're 2-2 against the spread at home, and they're actually have went over in 3 out of the 4 games at home as well too. Now in the division, they're 0-3 straight up and against the spread. And then when it's the over-under situation, once again, they've went over in 2 out of 3 divisional games that they have had. And then playing the AFC, 2-6, both against the spread and straight up. And then in the over-under category, they've went over in their last 5 games against conference foes this year as well. In their last 5 games against conference foes. And they have went over pretty much 5 out of those 8 games. So when I look at this, you got 2 teams that are exactly the same to me. And I think that the better quarterback actually plays for the Jets. I know that the better defense is with the Dolphins. So when I get a scenario like this and a team's been playing so good at home all season, because when you look at it, the Jets are playing really good football at home, regardless of how people think. You know, their last few games they've showed up, and when they've lost the game the way that they lost last week, they show right back up and get themselves back in order. And it seems like every time they've came off a loss and played a home game next in their last few scenarios, they've won that game. So with that, I'm making them my dog bet of the week. Let's go ahead. Jets, Jets, plus 155. Book it.
You know, I like what you're saying there. I don't like the fact that Flacco is starting for the Jets this week. The Miami D has come on. I don't like them, obviously, as road favorites. I mean, you have a 3-7 versus a 2-7, 60-40 split on the tickets. I'm seeing a flat 3 at Pinnacle, 3.5 at South Point and Westgate. You can get a flat 3 in a couple spots also on the Vegas Strip. We bought the hook. We're taking the Dolphins minus the 3. Thinking maybe a 24-17, 24-20. I like the Dolphins in this spot, but again, I like where the Jets are going. And you'll know early if they came to play. He's got them moving in the right direction. I just don't understand what he's doing with the quarterback carousel. It looks like Zach Wilson will be done for the rest of the year, or he's just trying to learn on the fly. I don't know. Big Mike is sitting this one out. So give me the Dolphins minus the 3 here, Pops.
I say that, man, why are y'all dissing Josh Johnson, though? The dude threw for 300 yards. I know it was garbage time, but still, geez Louise. I thought that his performance was better than the one that Mike White had a few days before, because it was like out of nowhere, but he showed how natural of a quarterback he is as well too, though. So, you know, I'm just kind of a fan of Josh, because, you know, he played for the University of San Diego and all that good stuff. You know, he's Harbaugh's first quarterback too. Yeah, so, you know, a lot of people had to put that into fruition, and Jim Harbaugh loved the kid too. So, you know, he felt like that guy should have, you know, been a little bit more in the NFL. And I felt like he should have been a little bit more in the NFL. But he's shown that if he is asked to come in and play quarterback, he can do it. All right, so we have our next game, the Bills and the Colts. The Bills and the Colts coming here. The Colts playing much better football this year, but the Colts just have a bad. They get a bad rap, in my opinion. I think that the Bills literally that what happens with them is that you have a team in the Colts that a lot of people already have this idea that they're not going to be that good, but they've been that good this year. You know what I mean? But the thing is, they just keep coming up short, and their schedule is not is like when you have the toughest is it's a tough schedule, pretty much point blank. I think it's one of the toughest schedules in the NFL. When you saw their first 4 games, you're like, dude, how the hell did they get through this? You know what I mean? And they just keep chugging along. You know what I mean? So pretty much what I see in my notes right here with the Colts are they're 6-4 against the spread. They've went under in 6 out of their 10 games this year. They're 2-2 straight up on the road. They've covered 3 out of 4 of their games on the road. They also have went over 3 out of 4 of their games on the road as well too. They're 3-2 against the spread as an underdog, but not too good straight up. They're 1-4. Now, when it comes down to the over and under as an underdog, they've went under in 3 out of 5 of those games. Now, playing against the AFC, they're 4-3 straight up and 4-3 against the spread. And then also they went over in 5 of their 7 games this year. The Bills, on the other hand, 6-3 against the spread, 3-6 over and under. They went under in 6 out of their 9 games this year. At home, they're 3-1 against the spread and straight up. They've went under 3 out of 4 of their games at home as well too. And then when it comes to them being the favorite, they are actually 5-3 against the spread and straight up. And then as a favorite with the over under, they've actually went under in 5 out of their 8 games. And when it comes down to the AFC stats, they're actually 5-3 versus the AFC, both against the spread and straight up. And then they're also 3-5. They've also went under in 5 out of those 8 games versus the AFC as well too. So when you look at the stats, they just pretty much tell a story that the Bills are winning like 2 games in a row, then they'll lose one. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what I'm seeing with them right now. And I think that the Bills are not in for a letdown this week, but they're in for a game where they're going to have to do a little bit more. You know what I mean? They're going to have to show their grit. And I don't know, and they got to show they can win one of these games as well too. All their wins have been blowouts this year, but when they get to a close game, they have not been winner. They haven't even been close to being the winner. So pretty much, and they weren't blowouts. It's just that they just aren't able to win close games right now. But that's just right now. That doesn't mean for the rest of the season. But I love the Colts in this spot, but I'm not saying they win the game, but I do say that they do cover. I'm taking the plus 7.5.
You know, Vegas has got this game set up where I think they're almost enticing us to take the Colts. Colts have been in a lot of close games. They've upset some teams on the road, just ask the Rams. Opened at 6.5. I'm showing a 7.5 at Pinnacle. Flat 7s on the Vegas Strip. Tough game here. I think it comes down to Wentz versus Allen. I really do. I mean, Buffalo's going to try to slow down Taylor. He's been a beast this year. I bought the hook. We took the Colts up to 8. I think the magic number for the Colts is that 23-24 number. Can they get to that number? Then they should be able to keep the Bills under 30 or less. So I like the Colts plus 8, but you'll know early here. If Wentz throws a couple picks early, this could be one of those blowouts, Pops.
Well, I feel you. And that's what I'm trying to avoid. But I think the Colts are better than that. That's the whole thing. I think they're better than, getting blown away. And I think they're going to give the Bills the same type of matchup that the Steelers gave them early in the season as well, too. But we both know that the Steelers defense is a little bit different from the Colts defense. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But let's move on to a game that we can both kind of yawn about. And that's going to be the Browns and the Lions. And you know what? I'm so sick of the Lions right now. It doesn't even matter. You know what I mean? Like, literally, this is what they do every week, Jeff. They'll cover, and then they get blown out. They'll cover, then they get blown out. And I'm showing all this in my numbers right now. This team is actually a winning team when it comes to the spread. They're 5-4 on the year. Now, when it comes to over and unders, they've went under in 7 out of their 9 games. Their road record, of course, they haven't won any games, but they're 0-4-1 straight up. We know that they had a tie last week. And then they are also straight up versus the NFC, 0-2-1 versus the AFC. But against the spread, they're 2-1, Jeff. And then all their games have went under against the AFC this year. Now, the Browns coming to this one, they're against the spread is the same as their regular record, 5-5. And then also they have went over in 6 out of their 10 games this year. And then at home against the spread and straight up, they're 2-3. And they've had some pretty tough home games as well too, with the Cardinals and the Steelers coming in into that fold as well too. Now, when it comes down to, I think they are 2-3. I have to double check, but I'm feeling kind of weird about that one. You know what I mean, Jeff? Because I thought that they've won more games at home. But they're 2-3 at home from what I have here, and then they're also have went under in 3 out of 5 of their games at home. Now versus the NFC, they're 2-1 against the spread and straight up versus the NFC. But when they face off against the North, they're 2-0 straight up and against the spread. And when it comes to over under, they are 2-1 when it comes to the over, and they're 1-2 when it comes to the over under versus the AFC. But both their games have went under against the NFC North. But both their games against the NFC North were pretty. One was a blowout, and the other one was a very low-scoring game against Minnesota. So pretty much what I'm doing here is, I know I did a lot of blabbering, but let's just be honest. The Browns are going to kick their head in, and they're going to win this game by 2 touchdowns or better. After you get beat the way that they got beaten New England, and then you have the Kittens sitting over there desperate for a win, you're going to have to treat them like they're 8-1 on Sunday. And I think that's exactly what the Browns are going to do, and they're going to give them a thorough beatdown because they got to get that one back, because that one right there, you could lose the locker room if you don't come back and have a really good game after that beatdown that the Patriots handed to them.
This is a perfect schedule for the Browns. No Chubb, Hunt, no Hunt. They just activated Joshua Kelly. It looks like it could be the Dearness Johnson show again. I think the defense will be strong, and stronger. Mayfield will not make mistakes. Landry's still banged up. So offensively, they look challenged. I think it's a perfect setup. I think the Browns dictate this game. I think it's a big, big effort from them. I get the Browns -11. And what I really like is the fact that Thanksgiving is the following Thursday. We know that the Lions are playing at 12:30. They do every Thanksgiving. They're playing the Bears. So we'll get ready for that game, where I think the Browns just lay an absolute whooping in this game.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on. And we have ourselves the Packers and the Vikings here. And Packers-Vikings. This is a good old NFC North game. And pretty much what we have here is that we have 2 teams that are literally, going or in 2 different spots. The Vikings are chasing the playoff spot. The Packers are pacing themselves to another NFC North championship, and like literally running away with the thing as well too. But when I look at my notes tell me that the Packers are kind of in the mode of regression right now. I say this because I feel like, with Rodgers coming back the way he did last week, and they not scoring as many points as they were as they usually do each season, then you start to think like, are they scoring enough? You know what I mean? Because what's going to happen when the defense has their little fall apart game that they usually have every year? Now, when I look at the Packers, they've actually covered 7 out of their 10 games this year. That's pretty good. And then when it comes to over-under, they've actually went under in 7 out of 10 of their games this year. Now, on the road, they're 4-2 against the spread and straight up. And when it comes down to the over-under, They're 1-5 on the road. So they've went ahead and went under 5 out of 6 games on the road this year. And then straight up as a favorite, they're 6-1 against the spread. They're 5-2, and they're 2-0 against the spread and straight up in the North. So they have been dominant, but the Vikings have been much better over the last month, in my opinion. I think that the way that they start the season is light years away from how they're playing right now. 5-4 against the spread. They've went under in 6 out of their 9 games. They're 2-2 straight up at home, 1-3 against the spread at home. They're 2-3 straight up as an underdog, 3-2 against the spread as an underdog. They're 1-0 in the division. This game is a lot more important to them than it is for Green Bay. And after how they played last week against Herbert and the Chargers, I would take this team. I think that everybody needs to take this team a little bit seriously. If they didn't have to have the schedule that they had the first month of the year, then they would be in a different boat right now. They will possibly be right behind, the Packers. But this is another team that may make a monster moves here in the second half of the season. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Vikings with the minus 105 in the spot to get a slight upset. But the odds makers are saying this isn't an upset. It's a 50-50 ball game. Let's see how it shakes out. Let's see how it goes. Where are you going with this one, Jeff?
I like where the Vikings have been all year. They've been in so many close games. They've lost in overtime to Cincy. They lost by a missed field goal in Arizona. They get to that final spot, and then they have just crapped their pants, to be honest with you. It's an 8-2 team versus a 4-5 team. A must-win spot again for Minnesota. They're at home. No Aaron Jones, so A.J. Dillon will carry the ball there. Lazard right now potentially out. I mean, he's got Devontae Adams and a cloud of dust right now. So I like the must-win situation here on the Vikings. Season on the line. I can see a 24-23 game. Somewhere in that area. Maybe they can get to 27, but I like the Vikings. We took them plus the 1 pops.
All right. Okay, so pretty much with that, we have ourselves that great spot right there. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take another quick commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into some more early games, and then we're going to get to these first couple late games as well too. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right. Okay, we are back. And here we are with the Panthers and the Washington football team. Now, do not get all your panties in a bunch, y'all. This is the highest that the money line is at some places for Washington, and this is the lowest that the spread is the money line is for the Panthers in certain places as well too. But all in all, this is more of a money line that's going to read more about maybe Washington being about a plus 120 or 130, and possibly the Panthers being a minus 150 here. But we got an over under of 43.5. We got -3 to the Panthers as well too. And I hate to say this, but it's revenge. It's Cam Newton revenge season. And I remember when they tried to throw him away the first time when he had the car accident. Jeff came back around, led a 3-18 to the playoffs. Yeah. So Cam Newton is might have one of the greatest NFL stories ever written when it's all said and done. You know what I mean? I know, and Jeff's looking at me crazy, like, yeah, whatever. But Cam Newton, I just really truly loved what he has done. And you know what? Big joke is on the whole Panthers organization. It's what happens when you think that your face of the franchise is through. That's what happens. You know what I mean? It's just I've never seen this in my life, Jeff, in the NFL, where you had to go back to the guy you threw away and say, "We're sorry. We know that we could be a better team with you." You know what I mean? Come on, man. And Matt Rule looks like a clown right now, dude, because he was the one who was so gung-ho about getting Cam out the room. You know what I mean? We got to get rid of him. It's too much money. You don't know nothing about no salary cap, boy. Just go coach the team. College coach. You know what I mean? All right, so we got this, and let me look at my notes. You got a Washington football team. They're 2-7 against the spread this year. They went under in 5 out of their 9 games, and that's actually literally in the last 5 that they played as well, too, Jeff. And then they're 3-2 straight up versus the NFC, 2-1 versus the NFC South. And then they are 2-3 against the spread, but 2-1 versus the NFC South. Now, when it comes down to the against the spread straight up on the road, they're 1-3. And when it comes to over-unders, it's 2-2. So they've went so they split that scenario. Now, as an underdog, they've actually lost four out of 6 times. And this is on the cover as well, too. So pretty much it is what it is. Washington's not having the greatest year when it comes to betting. You know what I mean? So pretty much they're 3-6 on the year, and then in other categories, they're just downright pitiful, but we'll see how it goes. We got the Panthers coming in here 5-5 against the spread. They went under in 8 out of 10 of their games this year. They're 3-4 against the spread and straight up versus the NFC, but 0-3 versus the NFC East. I'm kind of surprised about that stat as well, too. And then they're also 2-3 against the spread and straight up at home, but they've lost their last 3 home games as well, too, Jeff. And then they're also, when it comes down to over-under, they went under 4 out of 5 games at home. And then as the favorite, they are 2-2 this year against the spread and straight up. When I look at this game, I'm just going to go ahead and keep riding that Cam wave, and I'm going to take that minus 160 money line on the Panthers to get their first home win in a month. So there it is. Mr. Dawson. That's where I'm going with this one. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny because I heard Ron Rivera has archives and archives of tapes on Cam Newton. This is Ron Rivera versus Cam Newton. This is what this game comes down to. And it's going to be interesting. Listen, I talked last week about the Cam signing, and I'll just make this point. I think if he got vaccinated, he would have been still on the Pats. The fact that they lost him last year and they lost him in preseason, Bill had enough. Cam forced his own hand by not getting vaccinated. They needed to count on him. I think they wanted to go with Cam the first 4 weeks, and they just couldn't count on him. They wanted to wait to get through the Bucs game and then maybe start Mac around week 5. So, hey, Cam came in last week. He gave them a bowl. They gave him some energy. I'm back. He did all of that. Congrats. You're getting paid. You got a job. You're back in the NFL. Okay. I bought the hook here. I got the Washington plus the 3.5 minus the 120. I think it's going to be a hell of a game. I want to see this play out. Again, last week I talked about they brought Cam back. Why? Instead of tanking, I really think Watson's going to end up in Carolina next year. That's my take on it. Anyone listening here can go and get that future and prop out there. Please do. I think that's where he's landing, but what do I know? But I took the 3.5. Great game. 23-20. How's that sound?
All right. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. One of the better games of Week 11 as well, too. A lot of people won't be talking about that, but I think that this game will be one that goes down to the last minutes as well, too. All right, so we have ourselves the 49ers at the Jaguars, and the Jaguars have played much, much better football after that 0-5 start. And, you know, pretty much I think that everybody probably got checked by upper management a little bit about getting this thing together before people start losing their jobs. You know what I mean, Jeff? So, you know, Jaguars got the memo since they went to London. So we'll see how it goes with this one. But they got a huge win when they beat the Bills. It showed that this team was turning the corner this year as well, too. But I don't think that's enough to say that this team is going to be, you know, up there with the is going to finish strong. I just think that they finished at a point to where it says that they weren't just getting kicked around. You know what I mean? But the 49ers come in this game 4-5 1 year. Jags are 2-7. 49ers are 3 or have actually not covered in 6 out of their 9 games this year. They're 3-6 in that category. They have actually went under in 5 out of their 9 games. On the road, they're 3-1 straight up, 2-2 against the spread. And when it comes to the over and under, it's an even split. Now, when it comes to playing the AFC, they played 1 game against the AFC, and they lost that game. And so that was against the Colts as well, too, on Sunday Night Football. Now, you have as a favorite, they're 3-4 straight up, and against the spread, they're 2-5. So San Francisco is not really a good favorite at all. And you know, when you see a team that's not a good favorite, you tend to want to go the other way. And then they're also enticing you with this spread here too, Jeff. I call this the spread of death, because you'll see a 6.5 on a team you feel that should win by a touchdown or better, and this actually works against you. A lot of times people say, where do you get a lot of these big dogs at? In this spot right here, when they give somebody a 6.5. You know what I mean? So what's a 6.5? You know, and even a 6, Jeff. So you're pretty much telling me this team should win by a touchdown or better, but you are telling me at the same time, though, that you're not going to put this as a touchdown for the team that's the dog, because you know that this team can get a big monster upset in the spot as well, too. You know what I mean? So that's why I always tell people, once you see 6 and below, it's okay to take the money line on that. It's okay. You know what I mean? Don't be scared, because once you get below 6, they're pretty much telling you that the game's 50-50, in my opinion. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? Of all these years I've been looking at. But I look at the Jags notes, and I say this: the Jags have went under 5 out of are 4-5 against the spread. They've went under 7 out of 9 times this year as well too. And then they're also at home against the spread and straight up. They're 2-3, and then over and under, they're actually they have went under 4 out of 5 games at home as well too. Now against the NFC West, they're 0-2 straight up, and then both games have went under. And then also against the spread as an underdog, much, much better than their record shows. They're 4-4. Now, as a straight up underdog, they're actually going to be 2-6. So there goes in that regard for the Jaguars, but 2-6 on the year when it comes to being a underdog. So pretty much where I'm going with this one, I'm going to literally live off of the San Francisco game from last year, and pretty much give you guys the idea that San Francisco will go ahead and get this win right here, because they played really well Monday night. And I think that if they run the ball the way that they're supposed to run the ball, then, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? And they get themselves a good win.
I think this game is almost like a trap. You kind of hit the nail on the head here when you talked about the 6.5. Why is it at 6.5? Because Vegas knows the public remembers what they saw last, and that was the 49ers putting a beat down on the Rams. And second of all, what else do they see last is the fact that the public should push this to 7, maybe even 7.5. Jags have been playing a lot better. They're at home. A lot more pressure on San Fran here to get to that 5-5 mark and start their second half swing here to try to get into the wild card here. I bought the hook here. We took the Jags plus the 7 minus the 120. I think it's going to be a competitive game. Under over 45 pops. I can see this in that 24-20 game. If the Jags can get into that 20, 21, 23 team total, I think it should be an easy cover for them.
All right. And I like your head there, Jeff. I know that I'm kind of jumping the gun. I'm kind of just I'm doing what I seen last. And I think that San Francisco 49ers, if they say we're going to commit ourselves to the run, the Jaguars won't ever be in this game.
Correct.
Seriously. Yeah, they won't ever be in this game. But if they go over there and start lollipopping and lollygagging, then it's a different beast. You know what I mean? And the way that Lawrence is getting confidence by the week, see, that's how you know they're becoming a better team, because he's getting more and more confident every week in and week out. And he's starting to understand exactly what his job's supposed to be. At first, I think that he was trying to do a bit too much and thinking that he was still at Clemson. Now you just go ahead, listen to what's going on in the headset, and you run the play that the coach has put in front of you instead of trying to ad-lib things. But we got the Raiders and the Bengals in one of the more funner matchups. This always brings back a lot of memories. I know Jeff remembers the Bo Jackson run and all that stuff. This is how far back these teams go. And honestly, the Bengals have had the advantage here the last few matchups here in Oakland. It seems like that they always meet up playing the Raiders on the road now. You know what I mean? They haven't played the Raiders in Cincinnati in I don't know how long. So pretty much they come in here fresh off of a bad loss, but they got a bye too, right? They just came off their bye. So they lost 41-16 last time we seen them. So this team should have some goal to them. You know what I mean? And I think me and Jeff are actually, I think that we might have switched out our picks on accident, because this is usually not how we do it. But there goes my notes on the Bengals. The Bengals are 5-4 against the spread. They've won over 5 out of their 9 games this year as well too. They're 2-2 straight up as a favorite. 1-3 against the spread as a favorite. So that's something that you look at and say, okay, they're not that great of a favorite, but they're not that big of a favorite in this game either. And then 3-2 straight up versus the AFC, and then they're also have dropped 3 out of 5 against the spread versus the AFC though. And then when it comes to over/under, they've actually went over in their last 3 games, but all in all, they've went over in 3 out of 5 of their games this year as well too. Now on the road, they're 3-2 against the spread and straight up, and then over/under, they're 2-3. Okay, so the Bengals are kind of in a middling area a little bit, but it's saying to us that they're not the world's greatest favorite either. But they've been really good on the road as the favorite as well too. It's just been when they've been at home where they run into their issues. So we got the Raiders 4-5 against the spread. They've went over in 5 out of their 9 games this year as well too. And then also as the underdog, they're 3-2 against the spread and straight up. And then straight up 4-2 versus the AFC, 3-3 against the spread versus the AFC, and they've went over in 4 out of their 6 games. Now at home, they're 3-2 straight up at home, and then they are 2-3 against the spread at home, and they're also have went under in 4 out of their 5 games. They went over in 4 out of their 5 games at home. So the Raiders are a team that figures out how to go over at home a lot. You know what I mean? There's a lot of points getting scored when you're playing in the Death Star. But I think that the Bengals coming to this one with the much needed rest, rest, and pretty much I think what happens here is that I'm gonna be in reverse this week, Jeff. I'm actually gonna do this week, man. I know Raider Nation isn't gonna like this, but I don't care. I'm taking the Bengals, man. The Raiders are struggling right now. I'm sorry, dude. And I don't know if they're going to be returning back to, that team that we saw the first 7 weeks of the year. You know what I mean? I just think that now everything's been kind of figured out. And last week was just a great example of experienced coach going against inexperienced coach when it comes to running a team. And I think that, pretty much you can call it a day for the Raiders in a sense, unless they can get themselves a nice little win. So I'm testing the Raiders this week to see if they can go ahead and get a big win over the Bengals, a team that's coming fresh off of a bye, and play a design game that can really, really, really frustrate the Raiders as well too. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
As you know, I'm the number one fan of the Bengal fan club. I usually like teams coming off a bye, and I'm just looking for some reason. I'm just not feeling it in this spot here. Going cross country in the Darth Vader Dome, whatever you want to call it. Vegas at 5-2, Bengals at 5-4, respective. Vegas opened up since he is a 1-point favorite. What I don't respect is that 71% of the tickets are on the Bengals, yet the line hasn't moved from 1. It kind of starting to smell a little trappy here on me. I'm expecting probably this to be one of the best games of the weekend. I'm really looking forward to this game. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I like Waller to have a big game. I expect Raiders to be able to run the ball with not just Jacobs, but I think Drake. You got a nice 1-2 punch there. Renfro stepping in. Very nice. Brian Edwards emerging. So I think it's a big spot for both teams. A loss by the Bengals puts them at 5-5, which now you start getting to that danger zone. The Steelers at 5-3-1, and the Ravens at 6-3. So big game winner here can really stick their chest out. I flipped the script here, Pops. I'm taking the Raiders plus the 1, and let's see what happens.
All right, there it is. Jeff is on the Raiders, and this should be probably the best game of the week. All right, so we have ourselves the Cards and the Seahawks. And the Seahawks, believe it or not, the Seahawks are still in this race because right now the bottom, the 7th seed in the NFC is about the equivalent of what I would like to call a 12-5 claimer. It's anybody's race. Seriously, anybody's race. There is no favorite. This is like going to the track and have 10 horses and the favorite 7-2. That means it's a wide open race. And when you have Carolina sitting in the final spot, you know that's probably temporary, to be honest with you. So we'll see how it goes, but the Seahawks are still in contention to easily go ahead and actually get that final spot. But they have to start some winning now. You know what I mean? Like right. And I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about right now. So, pretty much we have a Seattle team coming in here 3-6. And the Cards are 8-2. The Cards are 7-3 against the spread. They're 5-5 when it comes to the over and under split. But this is the most alarming stat: 5-0 on the road, straight up and against the spread. 3-2. They've went over in 3 out of their 5 games, and this is the stat that really, really gets me, Jeff. Each one of their road games, they have dropped 30-plus points in each and every single road game that they've played this year. They scored more points on the road than they have at home. And they are 4-2 straight up versus the NFC. They're even against the spread versus the NFC at 3-3. And then they're also even when it comes to the over-under of 3-3. Now, as a favorite, they're 4-2 straight up, and they're 3-3 against the at 3-3 against the spread. So there it goes with the Cards. Very good money team in Vegas right now, but hasn't really been the case the last few weeks either, though. You know what I mean? They've dropped their last 2 out of 3 as well, too. A lot of people need to put that, but they got Kyler coming back this week. But I don't think that you should force it with Kyler this week going against a team like Seattle that's so desperate. You could possibly be risking his season as well, too. So when I look at the Seahawks, they're 5-4 against the spread. That should give any Seahawks some confidence that their team is still fighting. You know what I mean? And then you also have the Seahawks who have went under in eight out of their 9 games this year, and then they're 1-3 straight up at home. They're 2-2 against the spread. They've actually went under in 3 out of 4 of their games at home. They're 1-4 straight up versus the NFC. They're 2-3 against the spread versus the NFC. Then also they have went under in all 5 of their games against the NFC this year. And then as a straight up as an underdog, they're 1-4, but against the spread, they're 3-2. Once again, this is something that works out that gets you a little excited about Seattle. And I'm going to get excited enough to take them with the plus 115 on Sunday to go ahead and right some wrongs and get themselves a nice victory. Last week was too tough of a game for Russell Wilson to come back and give you magic. Now he gets back to the friendly confines of Q West Stadium, whatever it's called now, and pretty much gets his team a much needed win. So I'm taking the plus 115 on the Seahawks. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Last week, the whole world was on Seattle. Packers opened up at 6. I think they closed at -2.5, blanked. It wasn't Russ Wilson. It was Rusty Wilson. Now they come back home 3-6. Absolutely 100% must win. Versus an Arizona team who goes on the bye next week. Will Murray play? I'd say 50-50, maybe. If I was the coach, you didn't play last week, give him another week off. Give Hopkins another week off. I don't expect Hopkins to play. Get to the bye, even at worst at 8-3. You had a great run before the bye. Get ready for the back half and the playoff push. So I like Seattle plus the 115. I think Russ gets it done. I think it gets them to 4-6 with a glimmer of hope of starting to put the pieces back together.
There it is. And this is a team that can win out just because who they have in that locker room and who they have coaching that team. But I doubt it, to be honest with you. Okay, because I just think this is the regression year for Seattle. And I think Seattle's going to be making some major moves come this offseason as well, too. And nobody's saying this, but I'm not going to say Pete Carroll's on a hot seat. I'm just going to say that he might be on a path to retirement.
I'm glad you brought that up because word on the street is they're getting antsy. I don't think they will do anything to Pete other than say, hey, Pete, let's move you upstairs. Let's get a new coach in. Let's change some stuff up. Don't know if Russ will still be there next year. It's time. And I don't think they flat out fire him. If he didn't want to go upstairs, maybe he would retire. But hey, Pete, let's go upstairs. Help us get a coach. Help us rebuild this team and start over.
Right. I totally agree with that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take one final break. And when we get back, we'll have the stretch drive of the show as well, too. And so you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, here we are with the next game up, and this is going to be seen as the game of the week. I'm very shocked that this was not the Thanksgiving game for the Cowboys. But the Cowboys are kind of like a college team now with scheduling, and we all know that Jerry probably gets to pick his own schedule as well, too, especially a Thursday Thanksgiving game. And have you noticed that they've been trying to put teams in there that they feel like they could possibly beat on, and they don't put in the teams that you would think that they would possibly, make the best matchup with. And I would think that they would want to feature Mahomes on Thanksgiving, but they're going to feature Derek Carr on Thanksgiving. So literally, they knew the last time they invited the Raiders for Thanksgiving dinner, the Raiders were dinner. So that's why I think they have the Raiders in that spot. But that might be the dumbest possible thing that you do as well, too, especially with a Raider team that don't know no better as an underdog. But let me go ahead and get into my notes. I know that we're running short on time, and we got a Cowboys team 7-2. They're 8-1 against the spread right now. Also, they are 5. They have went over in 5 out of their 9 games this year as well, too. And then when you look at this team's road situation, they're 3-1 on the road. Great. 4-0 against the spread on the road. 2-2 on the road when it comes to the over and under. Now, as an underdog, they're 2-1 straight up, 3-0 against the spread. And once again, 2-1 against the spread straight up versus the AFC, and then they're 1-1 versus the AFC West. And then when it comes to over-unders, they went under in 2 out of their 3 games, and both those games went under against the AFC West. The Chiefs, putrid against the spread record compared to their 6-4 straight up. They're 3-7. So that means they've only covered 3 out of 10 games this year. And then they're also even when it comes to the over-under at 5-5. And then also when it comes to home games, they're 3-2 straight up, but 0-5 against the spread, Jeff. I can't believe that. 0-5 against the spread. Awful against the spread at home. And then they're also 6-4 straight up as a favorite. They're the same, their exact record. They haven't been a dog all year this year. And then they're also 3-7 against the spread as a favorite. And now against the NFC East, though, they've actually have had 50% of their wins come against this division. They're already 3-0 straight up versus the NFC East. They're 2-1 against the spread, and then they went under in 2 out of the 3 of those games against the East as well, too. So when I look at who I really like in this game, I'm going to go with the team that's the hottest betting team in the world right now, and that's the Dallas Cowboys. I just can't go past it. This might be the Cowboys game where they get to have their Mona Lisa, their Picasso of a game being called. I think that they're going to possibly drive. This could be a 53-50 game. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a lot of hype is gonna go into this game. But I like the Cowboys to win plus 120. I trust them as a dog.
I was in Vegas 4 or 5 years ago, and it was a 4:00 game, and Dallas was at Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh was like a 2.5-point favorite. I played the money line, and it was a back and forth game, and I think Dallas scored not 1 but 2 touchdowns in the final minute and a half, not for just the cover, for the outright win. And again, I've been Jekyll and Hyde on this Chiefs team. I think they're 5-15 now against the spread. I had the Raiders last week, and of course, I knew in the first 5 minutes I was on the wrong side there. It's a game where the total opened up at 52.5. Okay, so Vegas was telling you initially this final score is going to be 28-24. Okay, the public has pushed it up to 55.5, 56. I bet you by game time it'll be at least 57. So now they're telling me 30-27. Dallas against the spread is America's team. And for some reason, I'm going to go back to the well one more time. Give me the Chiefs minus the 135 money line. Just win, baby. And probably at 7:30 Sunday night, I'm going to put the X next to this and say, Pat, you did it again.
All right. Okay, now we got our next game. Sunday Night Football. And, this is the premier game of the week. This is the NBC cash cow throughout the last quarter of the year. Everybody knows that. NBC makes a lot of money off this game. So, pretty much we have ourselves It's a very, very good one here. So pretty much what I'm going to do here is pretty much, and let me get into these notes. Let me just send off this message real quick coming out in 1 minute. All right. So pretty much here we are, Jeff. Here we are, brother Jeff. We got a Steelers team that's actually 3-6 against the spread, 5-3-1 on the season. They have went under in 7 out of their 9 games. No surprise there because we all knew that they weren't going to be that great of an offensive team this year. And then we also have against the spread and straight up, we have them 2-1 on the road. They went under in all 3 of their road games this year. As an underdog, they're 3-1 against the spread and straight up. Now, versus the AFC this year, they're 3-2 against the spread and straight up versus the AFC, and they've went under in 4 out of their 5 games. Now, the Chargers, on the other hand, they're 5-4 against the spread. They've also went under 7 out of 9 of their games this year. They're 2-3 against the spread and straight up at home, and they also have went under in 3 out of their 5 games at home. Now, on the road, they're 3-3 against the spread and straight up as a favorite. And then versus the AFC, they're 3-2, but 1-1 versus the NFC North, and this is for the spread and the straight up. And then when it comes down to the over/under, they've went under in 3 out of their 5 games versus the AFC as well too. Now, when I look at this game, I think that the Chargers have been getting tired of losing. You know, they've dropped their last 2 out of 3 games. They were in first place. Already got a early win against the Chiefs. They want to keep riding that momentum, and they want to be a better team at home. I got them winning this one. I don't believe in Mason Rudolph doing anything this Sunday. I think Justin Herbert probably has his best game of the season against a team that's not going to have TJ Watt either. So give me them Chargers.
Yeah, I'm looking at this game as we speak right now live. The computer model was 3 with a 48.5. At Circa right now, it's 6.5. Mirage 6.5. The Win 6 with a total of 47. That's telling me Big Ben ain't coming back. I think. We when we did the show here, we bought the Steelers to 6 minus the 120. I don't like where this game's going. It's kind of a must-win for the Chargers. They've regressed. I agree with everything that you say here, Pops. I would expect a big bounce back from the Chargers and from the defense especially. Maybe they can get Big Mike going on the offense. Big game from Eckler. We took Steelers plus 6 minus the 120, but a game that I'm starting to second guess here, Pops. Rotation number 820, actually 820 kickoff on this game. 475, 476. Steelers 5-3-1. Chargers 4-3. Opened at 48.5 and a 3 computer model. 54% of the bets all coming in right now on the Chargers. 40% of the is on the over, so they're kind of betting the under here. That's why it is down to 47 as we speak. So a game, again, as I just said a few minutes ago, it looking like Rudolph is going to be the starter here. So be careful there. If you are on the Chargers, I'd buy now. Book that one in. If you can get the 5.5, currently at Westgate in the Golden Nugget, and it's stations on the Vegas Strip. So grab them while you can. It's going to be a black and blue game, obviously, but be careful there. As I was just saying, Pops, this number is really starting to fly. So all your Charger players, buy it right now, ASAP, because it's probably going to hit 7 real soon.
And so sorry about that. Jeff is on plus 6 with the Steelers as well, too. He's not on the Chargers. He don't trust the Chargers. Rightfully so. All right, so we move on. Oh, I'm already telling on myself. All right, Monday Night Football. You ready for a Monday night party? We got Dan and Al and Mike. Oh, that was 30 years ago. And just as long as we didn't have to get Theismann, we good. Who's the in some? I'm telling you, man. I wish I had a radio show where I could give out stuff because I want somebody to name the 3 guys that were in the booth for Sunday Night Football on ESPN for 20 years. 20. Yeah, they gave, and it's funny they never show them any love either. Jeff, have you ever noticed that? Theismann and Brad something, and the guy who used to play for the Bills too. He used to love some Marshawn Lynch. He used to literally I love the way this guy plays. It's like he's in a knife fight. I'm like, this is an NFL game, bro. You talking about knife fights and stuff? What the hell? All right, looks like he's in a street fight when he's running the football. All right, so the Giants are 5-4 against the spread. They've went under in 6 out of their 9 games this year. Also, as an underdog, they're 3-5 straight up, but 5-3 against the spread. On the road, they're 1-3 straight up, 3-1 against the spread. As on the road, they've went over in 3 out of 4 of those games. Now, versus the NFC straight up, they're 2-4 against the spread. They're 3-3, and when it comes down to over under, it's a mixed bag. It's a split 3-3. So the Giants are a pretty damn good road team. That's where they've done most of their damage at, is on the road. Now you have the Bucs 4-5 against the spread. Bucs are coasting too, man, and they have went over in 6 out of their 9 games this year. And then as a favorite, they haven't been a dog at all this year. They're 6-3 straight up, 4-5 against the spread as a favorite. But this is the stat that helps them out the most. They are absolutely dynamic at home. 4-0 straight up, 3-1 against the spread, have went over in 3 out of 4 of their games. And just like Arizona, but in reverse, this team has won all their games scoring 30-plus points in each one of those matchups as well, too. And when I talk about games not being close, these games are not close at all. They literally beaten these teams by 21 points or better each time out, except for the Cowboys, who they beat by 2. Everybody else, though, been barbecue chicken. So they're 3-3 straight up versus the NFC. They dropped 4 out of 6 against the spread versus their conference. And then they're also 3-3 when it comes to the over-under versus the NFC as well, too. So that's the Bucs stats for you. And I think that me and Jeff kind of have already came up with an idea of what the Giants are. The Giants aren't a good team, but they're a team that will come in there and make you some money as a big dog. And I will go ahead and ride that hot hand once again. And they get their second Monday Night Football game in the last 3 weeks as well, too. It's crazy. I ain't seen one team play on Monday Night Football 2 out of 3, twice in 1 month. And they're coming back around to play again next week against the Bucs, and they're going to go ahead and I'm going to take them as the plus 10.5 dog. I think that they only lose this game by 7 or less. I think that they're going to do the same exact thing that happened last year. They're going to surprise the Bucs, and they're going to have to, and the Bucs are going to have to be in a football game Monday night. I like it.
The Bucs, I'm hearing behind the scenes that Tom and Arians are starting to have a little scuffle where Arians is very upset. He's not getting a lot of the credit here. Tom has been doing a lot of checking off on the plays, doing the plays that he's seeing, and kind of in their stumbling the last couple of weeks, he's allowed Arians to call the plays and just ran them and saying, see, they're wrong. And they're in a funk right now. I expect them to wake up out of it. Their defense has been horrendous lately. I bought the hook. I took it to 11. It's very simple here for the Giants to cover. You got to get to 20, 21, or 23. 17 or less is a good possibility. They won't get there. Barkley is active. I got that notification earlier this morning, so he will be back. Play some keep away. Keep Tom on the sidelines. Use your workhorse, and let's get the Giants plus 11 in for the cover, Pops.
All right, man. Another beautiful show with my brother, the one and only Don of Cape Cod himself, Mr. Jeff Dawson. You know, You guys make sure you guys catch the breakfast bankroll as well too. One of the best early shows that you guys can get. It's right up there with Good Morning Football, because at least he's gonna get you guys some money. You know what I mean? All Kay gonna do is make you look into her golden, sensual eyes and be a goofball for the next hour and a half for you.
Now I melt. She's worth the price of admission. Thanks, Pops. Everyone here, we're at week 11. Okay, we're on the back nine here. We want you here through November, through December. Check out Pops. Check out myself. I'm with Pops on his show on Mondays. If you need to reach me, you can follow me at EC Sports Invest on Twitter. Send me an email to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. No I in team, Pops. It's just win, profit, and family. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And with that, another great show and another week of football. When we get back, we'll be covering week 12 in the NFL. And that playoff picture should be getting a little bit more clear for all of us at the end of the day. So once again, I thank you guys very much for tuning in. Myself, the host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the other hosts, our co-host, the man himself, the Don Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And this is the NFL Bet Exchange. And we bid adieu. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the games and let's make some money.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by the Prime Wave Media Group.